You're listening to Unmuted with Papamutes.
And yeah, the thing is that the story starts with him realizing that he is dead, but still in this garden, which was his garden, and he figures that this doesn't feel quite right. I don't know where I am supposed to be, but it doesn't feel right to still be here. But how do I get anywhere else? And then the story is really about him acknowledging the fact that throughout his life he has been shutting down and bottling up his emotions and not processing the things he should have been
Excuse me.
processing, which included a lot of trauma and a lot of love and a lot of things like things that we humans go through.
Mhm.
So in death, he does process these until he gets to the point where he is able to let go and move on.
Interesting. Now, do you have a writing background or any formal education in writing?
No,
You just wanted to write down thoughts,
no,
and did you have help piecing it together? I mean, you want it to be
yes,
structured, obviously, so people
yeah,
want to
yeah,
read it,
yeah. It
and
was
you know,
yeah. I've written a lot of nonfiction, a lot of blogging, and I knew I could write, but fiction is something very different. And it was something that I was worried about. Like, how am I ever gonna put a novel into the world if I don't even know where to begin. Um, so luckily, I found in a Facebook group, and I wasn't even looking, but I knew I had to find an editor, and I was in this amazing female entrepreneurs Facebook group, and someone just posted something that wasn't even a sales pitch, anything, just more a thought or sharing of an emotion on her side, and I just realized, oh, I need to have her. And yeah, we connected, and she has this amazing company with editors, now all sorts of people who are very experienced and who are formally educated in creating fiction and nonfiction books, and they really helped me. So I did all the writing, but every time I sent it in, it came back with a lot of red pen.
no,
Like,
of course, yeah.
oh, this, I see where you're going with this, but it doesn't quite work. How about this idea? So there was a lot of writing and rewriting. And they really helped me put it into shape. And now it's just the most professionally, beautifully edited book. Well, I've ever written. There are, of course, many more books like that.
Now, is it?
But I'm very proud of the quality.
I'm sure. Is it self-published or is it published? There are people self-publish books. Is it or is it published, like by a publisher?
No, it's
Okay.
self-published. I wanted to go the traditional route, but the thing is that to be able to do so, you have to, at least in the US, because I wrote it in English, even though I'm Dutch, because well, in English the world is just a lot bigger. Um, you have to first find an agent, and then that agent needs to find a publisher. So what you need to do is just pitch a lot of agents in the hopes that they pick up your book and then go and pitch it to publishers. And while I was doing it, sending out these emails, I just felt all the energy and life drained from me. It's a piece of my soul.
Sure.
And it just felt very weird to put in an email like, okay, here's a piece of my soul. I really love it. Please love it too. Please at least look at it. And it didn't make sense. And because I also have my business consultancy background, and I still do freelance projects, I had the luxury and the privilege of some financial backing on my own to go the self-publishing route. So that's why I chose to go that way.
Okay. Very nice. Now the other book, how is it to be you? Right?
It's not a book.
Oh, I take that back. What is that?
It's a project.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a project. So um, I thought of writing a book about it, but it didn't happen because contrast came in. But I might still write a book about it.
Hmm.
I do have ideas for nonfiction that I'm currently working on. So who knows? This it might be my next one. But the idea for how it is to be you, or how is it to be you, was I got to a point in my life where I really learned who I was. I understood who I was, including all the dark little corners of my soul. Um, and for some reason, I still had no idea if there was even the slightest bit the same as another person is or experiences themselves. And in all my years, I haven't been able to figure that out. And I figured, you know what, let's just go out and ask people the question.
Sure.
So the question came to me, as these things do, again as a lightning strike, but this time on a hike in Normandy. I let it marinate for a little bit, and I decided, I'm gonna take a year off, rent out my house, hop in my little car, and just drive throughout Europe and ask this question to whoever I meet and whoever I feel like asking. And that's what I did. And it started out as me wanting to document it. I made a couple tiny documentaries about it, and it started out as me wanting to write a book about it. But in the end, I really just wanted to have the conversations.
Sure.
There was something really nice about randomly meeting a person, asking that question, and then just having the conversation without the pressure of having to take a portrait, writing it down, getting their approval on sharing it. There was just a lot of logistical hassle that took away from the conversations, and the conversations themselves are just so beautiful that I just really wanted to stay in that moment.
Now these were
That's why the book
documented
never
on
lifted off.
these were documented on tape, on video, or
No,
just.
some,
Mhm.
but most aren't. It was just my experience and my project to do.
Okay. Now you say you've solo traveled to 46 countries. Is that correct? That's a
Yeah,
lot. I mean,
yeah,
that's a lot of traveling solo. Now, forgive me. I mean, obviously, I know what solo means. So you went on these trips alone,
yeah,
correct? And nothing
yes,
wrong with that. Not knocking it or anything. But you're going to meet a lot of people. I'm assuming you're not like isolating yourself when you're in these countries. You're out and about, or are you? I don't know.
yeah. Well, no, it depends on how I'm feeling. I am quite introverted, so if I feel
Hmm,
like just being on my own on a beach for a week, then I'm on my own on the beach for a week. If I feel like partying with everyone I meet, then that's what I do.
okay.
So,
All right.
but yeah, generally you meet a lot of people.
Now, I mean, that sounds expensive to travel around. I mean, I know you rent out the house and you do consulting, but was it costly?
Uh, yes, I mean yes, but I mean I'm 44 now, and I have a decent career, so there's a way more ability and legroom to do it these days. But I started, like, my first trip was when I was 20, and I did the traditional backpacking through Thailand and Cambodia. And yes, the
Wow.
flight, of course, is expensive. But being there, sleeping in hostels, eating foods from street markets, that's very cheap. And I've been to India. I don't do this anymore, but I've been to India and I've shared a room, and I paid $1 for the room per night.
Wow.
There are meals that you can get for $1 or $1.50. So if you travel smart and pay attention to where you are, where you stay, and you don't mind, I don't know, not walking barefoot in your hotel room, then you can travel at quite a nice budget, and it is very accessible. But it really depends on where you are. Not every country is going to be cheap, of course.